this is more boring than that Disney sequel where Jafar gets glasses. They're just like, number one, number two. Could I see number one again?
Wow,
There's
what a
like
great
a cutaway gag.
That
and, like,
sucks. That sucks, Nick.
That's what I based everything in my life on.
I'm gonna start, okay?
Wait,
Okay.
I'm not ready. Okay.
What do you mean you're not ready?
No, I'm scared.
I wish with all my heart to fly to the future with Grandpa Walt. The day is done, a cess of waste, but maybe tomorrow will be most chaste. EPCOT looks to the future, a shining star, guides us north as we drive in a car. That was a poem that I wrote. My name is Hank Disney. I'm the great-great-grandson of Walt Disney. With me today, I have Hidden Nicky.
What's up? Can I just say real quick, just what an honor and a pleasure it is to be talking to you, Hank Disney.
And there's me, Sora Senpai, or Senpai Sora, actually. It was a different name earlier, but I've changed it again. So it's Senpai Sora. Glad to be here.
So today, I've been talking to some people from the government, not going to say which government, but they've realized that things with the protests going on and the coronavirus, general civil unrest, they thought, gosh dang it, we really we screwed the pooch somewhere along the line. If only Walt's Dream Future City project had worked out, we wouldn't be in this gosh darn mess, if you don't mind my French. And so they've reached out to me, the living heir of not only the Disney legacy, but also the Disney great ideas and big brain thought process. And they reached out to me and you guys to design the utopian city of the future.
Yes, it was a great project to be a part of, and I'm honored to be a part of it. So.
I had no idea this is what we were doing tonight. Oh my gosh. I have so many ideas. Here, give me just a second to get my journal.
So are we just going straight into ideas then, or is it?
So actually, I would like to. I'm sure everyone listening to this is familiar with EPCOT, the theme park, but I don't think everyone is familiar with EPCOT, the city. So I was wondering if someone here would like to kind of go over the concept of EPCOT, explain to the layman, what EPCOT's really all about. I can just explain it to you.
It's important to know that the only real answer to this.
I don't know. We're watching it two times speed because it's more efficient that way.
Could we watch to 1.5?
Okay.
This question is that we'll never know. A project on the scale of EPCOT would have, without a doubt, taken years of revisions and
What's wrong with
changes.
2
We
times
will never
speed?
know what the final EPCOT
Would have actually looked like how
1.75 is probably good.
operated, or what Walt would have done with it as the world changed around him in the late 60s and early 70s. However, I also believe the city's overall goal of acting
So
as an
it's gonna
example of a
be a
cutting-edge city
city.
of the future for others to follow would have ultimately failed.
As well as...
EPCOT
Yes,
would have been a
that's what I've been
massive
telling
undertaking
you.
for sure. The resources required to build EPCOT,
I
which
thought
would
it
have
was
been
more
multiple
like
times larger
a
than the Magic
city of
Kingdom,
the
might have
future
itself been a roadblock
in,
preventing
like,
it from ever
a
happening.
metaphorical
However, from a
way.
technology perspective, if you consider the details of EPCOT,
Yes, it is.
there really
Just
wasn't
watch
anything
it.
stopping them. Guests would be able to
See,
witness
look,
what
here
a
it
life of
is.
the future would be like, and companies would be able to use the city as a testing ground for their new technology. Ideally, it was the kind of symbiotic relationship that you'd expect only Walt would be able to pull off. However, as cool as
City
it
of
sounds,
the
I don't think it would
freaking
have worked out.
future.
Ultimately, I think Walt had a wonderful motive when he dreamed up EPCOT. He saw the state of cities in the United States and wanted to not only prove to the world that he could do better, but he wanted to share with them how to do better so that they could follow along and improve the lives of millions. It was a noble goal that,
Walt
if
is so
possible,
cool.
would
Was
require the
Walt
vision and genius
Karl
of a man like
Marx?
Walt Disney. As I mentioned at the head of the
Walt
video,
was
this is
cool
all ultimately
because
my
he
best
was
guess
this
based on what
dude
we could imagine. Nobody will ever
who,
really know
like-
how EPCOT might have turned out. If you have your
Turn
own
this
ideas or
off.
theories, be sure to share them
He
in the
was a
comments below.
dude
Thanks
who
for watching.
liked trains, which
He was
is
this
cool.
dude. He was this dude who likes trains, and so he's like, you know what? I'm gonna build a park for my trains, and then later on he's like, what if I built a city for my trains? Do you feel like you guys have an understanding of EPCOT now? Of the original EPCOT?
Yeah. So EPCOT is an ambigram that stands for Experimental Prototype Community of Tomorrow. and it's basically Walt Disney's not just society or city, but it's really like it had its own government and civilization. And I guess we'll get into this more, but the problem is it was just so perfect. How do you live in basically a heaven on earth?
There's a story in the Bible. It might be actually in the Apocrypha. I'm not sure. There's a city, and the city was so perfect that God just said, I'm just gonna this whole city. I'm taking it with me into heaven. And not to get too religious here, but essentially, yeah, you're right. Like EPCOT was the perfect idea. It was the perfect city, and I'm not going to, once again, I don't want to bring religion into this, but I firmly believe that God saw this idea and said, "Hey, this is too good to be true," literally, and he killed Walt. He killed my great grandfather. So are we playing with God? Are we testing God? Yes.
It's all in the interest of human advancement. Like, I recently finished reading Slavoj Žižek's EPCOTism, an exploration of the impossible dream. It's just fascinating how even like every vision of the future that you see in movies and TV shows is based on the designs of the original EPCOT.
Yeah, so that's essentially what we're doing tonight. We're going to continue this work. We're taking the original vision for EPCOT, which was written in the 60s and 70s, and we're kind of adding a new hip spin to them. It's an HD remix essentially to EPCOT. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Like, there's no like real core problem just outside of like it's not there yet.
Exactly.
And an important thing too is making sure that there are some flaws in it to appease. And I also don't want to bring religion into this, but as the legend goes, and I'm not sure if this is just a legend or if Disney actually said this, and you can verify these claims and tell me if it's true or not. But as the legend goes, Walt Disney was asked, as he was coming up with the idea for EPCOT, he was asked, "Are you playing God?" And his response was, "I don't play God. Playing is for children." And he was immediately struck down. So we can't make the same, I don't want to say mistake that Disney made, but we can't follow that same path and expect to survive.
Yeah, so I've added on our plan here, number one priority: do not offend God. If you are a priest and you're watching this, if you're the Pope, longtime listener, first time commenter, we're not trying to offend God here. We're not trying to offend anyone. We're just trying to build a utopian society based on the standards and morals of Walt Disney. With the City of the Future, a big thing that's really been in a lot of Americans' minds lately has been healthcare. Do citizens of EPCOT deserve some form of healthcare?
I don't think they're going to need to be entitled to it because, like, simply by being part of the City of the Future, they will be profitable enough citizens to access it. So, like, I just think it won't be something anyone who actually lives there will have to think about because they'll all be such successful people. Like, it's only the best of the best in there.
When you say only the best of the best, are we? I was thinking, is there going to be some sort of vetting process for those who are and aren't allowed to live in EPCOT?
I think, who the easiest thing would be just like whoever's already there in the area, right? Because there's like there are people everywhere. So wherever you place EPCOT, you're going to be tearing down homes and building new structures in the same spots that people are already there. So it's
Sora,
like,
I don't want to offend you, but I think when planning a city of the future, having your citizens be exclusively individuals from Orlando, Florida, I think that's probably the worst thing you could do.
well, that would just be phase 1 though, right? I mean, it'd be the most economically viable because if you tear down a home and put up an apartment building, I don't know, I want to use a better word than apartment building because Disney, I think, had a better word for it. I think it was Dream Tower, or I think that was one of the words he came up for it. But it's essentially like stacking like mansions on top of each other, tearing down like these older houses. You're gonna have at least one person or one family already living there, and then you have, for every one person who's already from Florida living there, you're gonna have like 10 to 100 people or families who will be moving in, from around the United States and around the world.
I'm gonna barter with you here. I'm gonna barter with you, because I do agree that since we're going to be using this space more effectively than a non-utopian society, I think we should give maybe rent vouchers, like a coupon,
Right.
to those who we're stealing the land from, and they can maybe live in Epcot for a month, and then they'd have to pass a test of sorts to stay.
Right.
And I think a potential test would be like, we could ask them obscure Disney questions, and if they prove that they're true fans and they prove that they're willing to give up their Floridian ways and adopt the Epcot ways, then they can stay. So phase 1 is kind of like we take an old city and we make it a new city. It's kind of the birthing process. Is that what we're saying?
It's tearing down the homes and erecting the dream towers, or apartment buildings for those who aren't in the know.
Like, since like our best and our brightest are planning on moving to Epcot, maybe like they can be or should be required to be instrumental in its construction.
So everyone who moves to Epcot should be a construction worker?
Not exactly, but just that like it's part of earning the right to be there. They are building up their own future, so like they're gonna do a good job.
And I think with, you have the workers already there. Instead of paying them, you can just offer them, living space.
Maybe instead of money, we have Disney dollars. Have you ever heard of those?
Yeah, I mean that's a form of money,
Well, it's kind of like money, but it has Mickey Mouse on it.
Yeah, and I think it'd be more economically stable as well.
And the Disney name is it's a guarantee of quality and of like permanence. I'm glad you put a picture of the Disney dollar there. I just like I like Mickey. I like people being able to see like what the future looks like.
And this is it so far.
And I think that the Disney dollar will be necessary, at least in the first few phases. But I think near the end of phase 2, beginning of phase 3, you want to phase that money out because you actually won't need it. The Disney dollar will just be for exchange rates mostly, to get investors and that kind of thing. But then once the pot starts stirring, and the bubble dome is finished, the Epcot will literally become its own ecosystem, or epcosystem, as Disney put it. It'll just completely function as its own civilized organism.
And I was thinking as you were speaking about not needing money, about not needing all these things, and about really being a self-sustaining society. And I was thinking like, well, gosh darn it, like how do we do such a thing without farmers? Because I don't want farmers living in Epcot. They're dirty and their music is just plumb awful. So how would we do this? And I was thinking maybe animatronic farmers.
Well, I think Disney, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he kind of had his own more improved, more advanced version of farmers that he called Imagineers, which we're still using to this day. But their jobs have just changed a little bit. It's still technically in the job description, but they haven't been farming as much just because there hasn't been a need for it. But we can just reallocate the identity and just the way farming is done to make it more futuristic. We got Imagineers, we have Imaginauts, we have Earth Dreamers, inventing new foods sprouting out of the ground. And in those blueprints, they're just like so many different ways that we can do it cleanly, not just in a environmentally friendly way and in conservation of energy, but like without having to use dirt, without getting our fingernails dirty or infected.
I'm just mulling over all of the incredible things Imagineers could do if we really just kind of cut them loose from the American sense of morality. We might not even need to start with a full city, because maybe we can even grow a perfect people within the walls of the EPCOT. But I would trust the Imagineers to take over any aspect of the city's design and construction. When I think of the future, I think of just screens and cameras everywhere, so you're safe, and so you can watch stuff wherever, your favorite Disney shows or Disney Channel original movies. And I think that's even a great way of creating new content for the EPCOT people, is just using footage of citizens' lives.
Oh, that's a cool idea. You know that part of the Monsters Inc. Laugh Factory? You know that one part where they're like, and that guy, and they show a guy from the audience, and he's all, he's sort of embarrassed, but he's also enjoying himself.
Especially that guy. And that guy. It's our friend, that guy. That guy.
Imagine having that moment happen to you every day of your life, about every half hour.
It brings a little sparkle of joy into everyday life.
And it goes along with what I was saying earlier. It was how it's perfect, but it's not dystopian perfect. There's that feeling of joy, but with the little bit of embarrassment. So you have some conflict to go against to make sure that you have something to work forward to in the society. You can't have perfection without flaws.
And that's exactly what the Monsters Inc. Laugh Factory sets out to do.
Right. Have we talked about Phase 2 yet?
No, we have nothing for Phase 2.
Okay, good, because I think Phase 2 is actually the one that we're not supposed to talk about anyway.
So Phase 2 is top secret. Okay. And I was also thinking, no animals.
The Imagineers have already perfected the animal, with audio animatronics. You don't even have to feed them.
What separates man from animal? Manners and an appreciation for art. If we can teach those two things to a cat, or maybe we can, like you were saying, just make an animatronic cat that has those traits, we technically don't have any animals.
And that's clearly one of Disney's ideologies as well. He started becoming more successful, after, the Robin Hood animated film, because he had animals portray those characters, and it wasn't just a fun, silly, goofy way to get the children involved. It was an actual no, I want society to look like this eventually. I want animals to be treated, not just treated as human, but as humans. I think since like the eggs are out of the basket or cat's out of the bag, might as well just like clear the table just so people don't get confused. But phase 2 is actually the process of turning everyone into animals. Not just animals, but animated animals. Because that's, what's a perfect society without the attributes that animals have, but humans do not.
Where's this information come from? I haven't heard this.
Well, like I said, it's top secret. I mean, it could be speculation as well, but I mean that's, this is just connecting the dots, drawing the lines, figuring out the Sudoku puzzle. So whether or not that happens, whether or not we actually initiate that, but I think if we are being true to the EPCOT blueprint, that's one of the main parts of phase 2.
Do we get to choose what animals will become, or is that what determines that?
I don't know about that. Like I said, with phase 2, it's like we don't know until we get there. I mean, by the time that happens, like you might be a new person in the sense of like your identity. I mean, like you might be able to choose not to be a dog, or at that point you might not care what animal you become because you will have accepted your role in EPCOT. You might actually find that you enjoy being a dog, or enjoy having dog-like attributes. Because we're not going to be limited to the type of animals that are around with the technology. We're going to be able to adopt multiple attributes from multiple animals.
Wow. But yeah, I guess I got to add my no animals rule because that kind of.
Well,
I mean, if we're.
I mean, no animals in the sense that will be new. I mean, like Disney had a name for everything, and that's kind of like the Disney religion is, reinvent things, come up with new names for things, imagineer, imaginate your future.
Is it okay if I read you some ideas I have?
Yes, of course.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living as animals today. Imagine there's no countries. It isn't hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for, and not really any religions as well. Imagine all animals living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Living in a dream tower, and the world will be as one.
Beautiful.
It's a great poem.
Thank you.
Hank, is that a picture of Craig Robin Hood on the screen? I live with my mom. I can't have this on the screen.
This is the future. If your mom has a problem with it,
pissed.
She's not welcome in our ideal society. Look at this screen really quick. I want to show you this. In this story, on the screen, this is a pregnant Robin Hood holding the world's most valuable currency, and this is a non-believer, Hidden Nicky's mother, and they're saying, "Give me that, or I'll stab you right in the belly." And he's saying, "No. Some things are worth defending."
No, it's the EPCOT is the future we have to fight for.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're gonna. I mean, again, I don't want to keep talking about phase 2, but like Robin Hood will be there. First as an animatronic, and then okay, I've said too much already.